Hello and welcome. My name is Tom Shima. Over the course of 2026, I'm playing the game Persona 3 Reload. Only I'm trying something a little different. I'm going to match the pace of the game. That's right, I'm playing this game one real day at a time. Please enjoy this different take on the game in a series I'm calling Persona a Day. Hello and welcome. My name is Tom Shima, and today is Tuesday, May 19th. So as I like to do, I start out by talking about what we did yesterday. This catches us all up so that we're ready to come into today fully informed of what's come before. Then we'll play today's gameplay session and see where that takes us. And after that, we'll come back here to the desk and talk about it and see what sort of deeper connections we can make. For those of you watching on YouTube, I will have timestamps in the description in case you want to jump to a specific section. And I do also want to be clear that this is a full playthrough of the game, so we will be encountering spoilers. Please be aware of that. So, let's start by looking over what we did yesterday. Yesterday was Monday, May 18th, and it was the start of midterm exams. This has been a looming challenge that we've known about for quite a while, and it's been talked about in-game. We've talked about it. Teachers have referenced it. Other students have referenced it. People at the dorm have mentioned it. It's really been dominating our focus for a while now. For the longest time, it was just kind of in the back of our head that's like, oh yeah, in 3 weeks we've got these tests coming up. In 2 weeks we've got some exams. But about a week ago, it really started to set in that the deadline was close. We had that big fight against a large shadow during the full moon, a week before this past Saturday. So at that point, we were really focused on getting ready for that. But as soon as we were able to overcome that challenge, the next reality set in that these exams were the following week. So we spent a lot of time last week doing all we could to just get ready here and there. Between study sessions with ourselves, in the library, by ourselves in the dorm, getting a good meal at Wakatsu Kitchen to get the brain energies going. And some of my favorites were studying with the various dorm mates in the evenings on the days leading up to the exams. We did a variety of different study tactics to get ready, and it all came to this week to literally put everything to the test. So yes, yesterday was when the exams began. The game didn't show us a tremendous amount of actual content, but like all of it, there's so much that we can lean into and assign meaning to our own story. So that's kind of what we did yesterday. We woke up nice and early, checked our phone, checked our calendar, and just referenced ourselves that yesterday was definitely the start of exams. We were fully prepared, we had a good night of sleep, and we got up ready to hit the day. Got to school at a good reasonable hour to get in there and probably do that last-minute review. Nearby, we overheard some students talking. They were talking about not being ready for exams, and one of them was trying to make an excuse of just why she wasn't ready and why that means she won't do well on the exams. And the other girl said to her, hey, that's not fair to those of us that didn't study. Why make excuses? Why not just proudly say that you're not ready for the exams and that you didn't study? Why try to lie about it and make up a reason? And it was kind of an interesting take on a lack of preparedness, and that they were both trying to I guess, cope with it in their own way, but also in a weird way to proudly own it. It was not a normal take that I expected to think about, but it was fun to kind of actually spend some time thinking about it and talking a little bit about it, because it's just that uncommon thing to see. And as they talked, they realized that they were forgetting things that they'd been cramming for in the last few minutes before they got ready for school, so they had to go back and try to finish relearning everything before exams started. And at that point, the bell rang, so that was that preparation time is over kind of thought. Exams were passed out then, and the camera pulled back to show the classroom of all of us diligently working on our exams. There wasn't a lot of choice that I could make in the moment. It sounded like our character was just doing his best, recognizing a lot of questions from his reviews, which was very encouraging. So for the most part, it sounded like the test was going well. It did mention, the game said near the end of the test, that some of the questions were getting more difficult, and he was a little less confident in some of his answers by the end of the exam, which I can relate to as well. It's always nice when you can get to a test where everything just kind of comes to you, but more often than not, there can be those tough questions that just kind of, they throw a curveball at you and you have to cope with it. So overall, I feel like we did pretty well on the exams. We didn't ace it by any stretch, but I don't think we have a whole lot to worry about after day one anyway. And as far as the game went, actually, after answering that last bit of the first exam, that's where the day ended for us. It was definitely one of our shortest days, but like I've been saying, if the game doesn't necessarily show us something, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. So I'm sure it was definitely a busy day of exams, high anxiety, high stress. I'm sure we got to lunch in the middle of the day and met up with our friends, Junpei and Yukari, maybe Akihiko and Mitsuru, but might be harder with them being seniors. But I'm sure we talked about just how challenging the morning exams were, and if we had more in the afternoon, what we're not looking forward to there, or maybe doing some last-minute cram time for that with each other. But we made it through the school day, and however we did, I'm sure we got back to the dorm then because, again, it didn't give us any chance to make any choices or spend our time in the evening. There were no extracurricular activities due to exams, so no student council, no track team, none of that. And since the game didn't specifically show us, I like to think that we just got together with somebody else at the dorm. We kind of talked about it last night, and we were thinking that maybe Junpei and I headed up to the command room and took our notes up there, and just maybe we spent the evening quizzing each other on the material that we were going to be experiencing in today's exams. The game didn't show us, and so we didn't make any actual academic progress with that or anything, or actually see any questions that are going to be on the test. But it's just kind of that adding a little bit more to our own story of the game, so that it wasn't just seeing us finish a question one day and then jump forward into the next day. On all that, we had a good first day of exams, and we're hoping to keep that trend continuing going forward. We did our best to review yesterday, we got to bed at a good hour, and that takes us into today, the 19th, to keep it going. Okay, and actually at this point, this is where technically Monday's gameplay ended. After this dialogue box, it would take us into the next day. So this is where I loaded us in for today, just so that we don't have to sit through some other cutscenes to get to this point. And then, like I said, the last question for yesterday's test was a little difficult, as it says here. So not all of our questions were easy for us, but I'm sure we had a lot that did come easier to us because of the preparation we put into it. So this was the end of Monday the 18th, and that should take us right into Tuesday and see where that goes for us. Yeah, he still feels like he did pretty good. It's always nice to walk away from a test feeling like that, isn't it? Yes. Kind of odd for a day to end right from school, but that's how Monday ended up, so we are caught up to today's calendar date of Tuesday. And you probably already guessed, this is looking like it's going to shape up to be another quicker day. If you thought so, very good. I think you're right. And as I've said before, too, since I've obviously got some time here, I have played this game before, yes, but I'm not using any sort of guides, references, or walkthroughs on this playthrough. So all the choices I make are organic and in the moment. I haven't looked up any of this week's exam questions or answers. I'm going to take it as it comes, right or wrong. That was kind of the prevailing theme of this entire series. The very first day, we arrived at the dorm and we signed a contract that any of the choices we made, we were going to be held responsible for. And I've really wanted to live up to that throughout this playthrough. So I'm not letting any past knowledge interfere with my gameplay. I'm trying to limit my knowledge to what the character would know at the point, and I'm not using any sort of guides or walkthroughs. So I'm hoping I can do well here, but whatever happens, good or bad, it's on me. So we're working on our exam for Tuesday the 19th, and he says the question seems familiar. Oh, okay. What is the other common expression used to describe May sickness? Thankfully, this is a question we had not too long ago in class. I think it might have even been Friday or Saturday. It was so recent. But that was very recently reviewed, so that's kind of fresh on my mind. But that was a fun story as we got into that question because that dealt with the idea was the May blues, which was really cool to see that the game told us about by way of the pharmacist. We'd been going to the pharmacy pretty regularly after school, not so much to shop, but just to check in with the pharmacist and say hi. And earlier on in the month, one of his comments as we were shopping, just bits of flavor dialogue, he would say, was something to the effect of, "Oh, you're looking a little depressed or a little tired. Sounds like a case of the May blues to me." And so he planted that idea in our head earlier in the month, and then it was reinforced a week or so ago in class as we had a chance to answer the questions, and May blues was one of the choices about that May sickness. And so now it's come around full circle here, and we're actually asking about it in the exam now. So I'm pretty sure I haven't seen the choices yet, but if it's not May blues, I'm going to feel a little thrown for a loop. Right here, number 1, May blues. I'm feeling really good about that. And this is just one of those really great culmination points of learning from this game. It's not a phrase I use especially often. It's a phrase I have heard before, but to see it referenced earlier on in the month, and then talked about in school, and now to see it on the test, it's just come all the way through there, and it really does feel like I've committed it more to a long-term thought and an association with things. So it feels like it was taught to me, I remembered it, I learned it, and now I'm applying it. So I'm going to say May Blues. Yeah, I have a feeling this is the right answer. I had a feeling too. Okay. As with yesterday, it's weird to say, but look at this. We have made it to the end of the day already. I know, it's just as weird as it was yesterday, but I'll take us back to the desk, and we will talk about that very quick episode. I'll get us back to the desk. Okay, so who'd have thought? Another very, very fast day. Who'd have thought? I did have some idea. I have played this game before, so I do know how exam week kind of works. But be that as it may, this is a far cry from our normal Persona Day sessions. But that doesn't make the day any less important or any less busy. If anything, it is an exam day, it's probably a lot more busy and a lot more stressful. So despite the game not showing us a lot, there's still a little bit to talk about. Not a whole lot, obviously. I'm even trying to work it out here to say the right things about what was a very brief scene. But let's just take it from the very beginning of the day and talk about it, including what the day showed, but including the things the day didn't show as well. So after our assumed study session with Junpei last night, we got to bed at a good hour last night. Nice and early, rested up as best we could. Got up early, maybe we did a little bit of review. Got something quick to eat on the way to school, grabbed something from the kitchen or what have you. And we just made it to school early, I'm sure. And we got our books out, did our last minute reviews. Looked like the test was, the English exam today, so I'm sure there were phrases or terminology to work on, maybe spelling or punctuation type things to go over. Those little grammar rules and such. Just that last minute review on those topics that were the weaker ones that needed that last second reinforcement. And then the exams were passed out, and then it was time to shine. Going through each test, question one by one, seeing how they came. As many multiple choice as there were, and get those done. Short answer questions and such. And again, that was just one part of the day. I don't know if that was our morning exam or our afternoon exam, but at some point we had whatever the morning exams were. If that was English, we'll say it was. Then we made it through that. Thankfully feeling pretty good about our answer about May Blues. That took us to lunch, where maybe again we were able to meet up with Yukari and Junpei and kind of just talk about the morning exams. It's like, hey, what did you get for that question about May sickness? Was it Moody Blues? I was thinking it was May Blues. Oh yeah, that's right, man, I got that one wrong. Or, just as high schoolers do. What did you get for this one or that one? Or how did I do? Did I get it right? And so, we probably had lunch while also getting ready for whatever the afternoon tests were. And hopefully they went just as smoothly as the morning ones. And, that took us to after school again. Maybe we were able to do a short walk on the way back to the dorm. Not enough to really stop anywhere. We knew we couldn't go to the arcade or anything like that. We weren't going to Tartarus, so we didn't really have a chance to go to the pharmacy or to see Officer Kurosawa. Likewise, there wasn't much of a chance to get to the Velvet Room for Igor or Elizabeth, so maybe that walk still happened, but it wasn't quite as memorable as a normal one, so the game didn't see the need to show it to us, despite it still happening. And we came back to the dorm in the evening, and maybe at this point, maybe Akihiko was getting ready for his own exams. Maybe he'd heated up another beef bowl. Maybe he had two even, and he said, "Hey, Tom, you're back at a good hour. Here, you can have this, and why don't we study together?" And so maybe he and I were able to really dig into some good solid studying in the evening, share another meal. Who knows, maybe Junpei smelled the meal and came down and joined us as well. Maybe the three of us got together then and worked off of whatever topics tomorrow's exams are going to be. Just to kind of spend some time together, work on something that's important for tomorrow, and to just get as ready as we possibly can be. Obviously no Tartarus in the evening because of exams, so we didn't have that to think about. We didn't necessarily make any new academic progress because this was all review. So, obviously we didn't gain any progress in-game that way. There's no way to explain it otherwise because this is all hypothetical, but it's part of our narrative here. But I'm sure, Junpei, Akihiko, and I, we did our best in our studying, we enjoyed our meal together, and then we again just made it back to our rooms at a reasonable hour to be as rested and prepared as we can be for Wednesday. And then I guess with that, we were able to wrap up the day and head into Wednesday, hopefully keeping the good progress going. And I'm just going to laugh to myself. As weird as it is to say, though, that takes us to the end of Tuesday, May 19th. It was a good day. I'm not going to say it wasn't a good day because I do feel good about that. Feeling like a test went well is always super rewarding, especially as a high school student where that is one of the biggest responsibilities you have. So we made good solid progress today, despite not seeing a lot of progress. And we'll just try to keep doing that tomorrow. So that brings us to the end of Tuesday, May 19th. It was another good day of exams, and I hope to keep that progress going forward. I want to thank you all so much for being here today. It means a lot to me. My name is Tom Shima. I stream this Persona a Day series every day at 12:30 Eastern Time, so if you want to watch live, you can do so then. I also upload each day's playthrough to YouTube, so if you want to watch the current day or any other previous day, I have a playlist available there. So I hope you all have a wonderful Tuesday the 19th, that you accomplish all the things you need to do. Whether it's busy or not, you can come to the end of it feeling accomplished. I have been Tom Shima. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again. Goodbye. With that, we've reached the end of the day. Please look forward to next time to see where the game goes from here. This journey is being streamed live on my Twitch channel if you'd like to be there in person for the experience. Links and schedule details can be found in the description. I'll keep uploading each day's session to this channel so you can keep watching here. Once again, I'm Tom Shima. Thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you again as I continue the series, Persona a Day. What will tomorrow bring?